Hey everybody, it's Mr. Flanagan once again with another chemistry lecture. We're going to continue to learn how to write names and formulas for chemical compounds. And today we're going to learn to, got to get this centered here, write the names of ionic compounds from the formulas. Last time we were given the formulas and we had to write the names. Today we're going to reverse it and write the names from the formulas. And we're going to move right along here. Can't do this unless you have them memorized, which, by the way, if you do enough of these, you will memorize them. You've got to get your periodic table of ions. What's that? I don't remember. Sure you do. It's a nice little chart that lists the atoms when they become ions and what charges they have. Good link for it along with this video. I would get one and print it out. Makes life much simpler. Let's get started. Here it is. It's NaCl. Hey, you buy it in the store. That's what we call table salt. So you look at the periodic table of ions and you see, okay, Na, there it is, sodium. Cl, let's get that in there. Cl is called chloride. That's it. That's all you do. Na is called sodium, if you can write. Cl is called chloride. The name of that chemical, that ionic compound, is sodium chloride. Ta-da! All right, let's look at the next one. Ooh, CaO. Now, I'm not going to waste a lot of time going back and forth between periodic table of ions, periodic table of ions. No, you'll have it in front of you and you can follow along. Ca, when it's an ion, Ca is just same as the name is when it's an element, calcium. O, that's oxygen, but when it's an ion, it's called oxide. That's the name, calcium oxide. Ba-bum. All right, let's move right along here. Oh, wait a minute. MgI2. Well, I know Mg is magnesium. Magnesium. And I know I is iodine, but when it's an ion, it's iodide. But what about that 2? Shouldn't I somehow include that, a 2 or a di? Or no, you don't. When you are naming ionic compounds, you do not need to include the subscripts, how many of each ion there are. And a nice explanation is this. Any good chemist worth his or her salt, get it? It's an ionic compound. So anyway, any good chemist worth his or her salt would know when they were going to write the formula from the name that Mg is Mg2 plus and iodide is I minus, and you would need 2 negative iodides to balance off the 2 plus charge of the magnesium. So that's why we don't have to include the numbers of ions in the chemical name. Good thing we got that out of the way. Let's take a look at this one. Al2O3. Al is aluminum. Aluminium in some countries. O is oxide. Don't care about the 2 or 3. They can figure it out for themselves. Aluminum oxide. Great. We are zipping right along. Remember, you can always pause, play, rewind. It's a great thing about YouTube videos. CuI, excellent. I know Cu is copper and I is iodide. But, oh man, when I check my periodic table of ions, sometimes copper is copper 2 with a 2 plus. Sometimes it's copper 1 with just a plus. So here's the deal. I got to figure out which one is it. Is it the 2 plus or is it the plus? Which copper is it? So you got to do a little detective work. I is iodide. It has a minus. Well, you know what? If that iodide is a minus and all ionic compounds are neutral overall, this copper's got to be the plus, because the plus and the minus would balance each other, neutralize, match each other. So, this is copper 1 iodide. How do I know that? Because if you look it up in the periodic table of ions, it tells you that copper with 1 plus is called copper 1. So sometimes it does get a little bit tricky. We're going to do one more here before we run out of time. CuI2. Okay, is it the 2 plus copper or is it the plus copper? Well, iodine's a minus. That's the iodide. There's 2 of them. This has to be the 2 plus copper to balance off the 2 minuses. So this would be copper 2 iodide. Pretty tricky. So we'll talk a little bit more. Now, wait a minute, who's this guy? It's Antoine Lavoisier, the father of modern chemistry. More in the next video.